The end of an era, a very long career, not only in Zimbabwe or Africa, but in global politics. And these are the pictures of Robert Mugabe at what will become known for what they represent. The last public engagement by the leader of the mineral and cultural rich Southern African country. But even as he walked away, it was clear that the final chapter of his presidency had been inked, the military having taken over power in what they called a correction operation. The intervention by the Zimbabwean Defense Forces paved way for these people, the ordinary citizens, black and white, young and old, to play a role in assisting Mugabe to confirm his fears that indeed it was time for him to call it a day. Analysts say hundreds of thousands of people marched in solidarity with the efforts of the military and ex-combatants to bring about change. For most of them, all they want is something different.
Everyone here is very happy. They're very happy about that Mugabe must go today, not tomorrow, today. We want him to leave the office.
A lot of social instabilities because of the social economic downfall. So we are here just to gather up and support our military so that they turn around the situation.
The mood is excitement. We're finally allowed to be excited. This is our Independence Day. This is our real Chimurenga. This is Zimbabwe.
Mugabe must go. We are very excited today. We are very happy. Yes, thumbs up. Yes. Happy independence!
The opposition in Zimbabwe has tried for decades to remove Mugabe without success. Although it's clear that his downfall is due to power struggles within his own ZANU-PF party, commentators differ on why it happened. Some say he became collateral to efforts to stop a high-speed political train, a faction in the party locally known as G40, led by his wife Grace Mugabe. A number of officials, including cabinet ministers believed to be members of G40, have been detained by the military. Others are putting it to this man, Emmerson Mnangagwa, the heir apparent. Mnangagwa's Lacoste faction includes war veterans and others in the security sector. Mugabe's move to fire Mnangagwa as his deputy, a man that had been his assistant and security minister for decades, was the final straw, they say. If it's all Mnangagwa's dance party, then he will need to include the opposition and other political players in the transition deal. And yet there are others who say Mugabe is just a victim of those that surrounded him, who kept him in power for far too long. At 93, he could keep the record as the world's oldest elected leader for a very long time. And he will be remembered differently too. There are those who talk about a young, gifted orator in the 1950s and 1960s, when he was the spokesperson of ZAPU, the Liberation Party. In the 1970s, he became a stubborn fighter even before he became the leader of ZANU in 1977. When he became the prime minister at independence in 1980, those close to him say he became a tricky politician. He pronounced a reconciliation with white farmers, dined with the British Queen whilst presiding over the Kukurahundi massacres at home. He became the darling of the West and delighted scholars with his eloquent speeches. But things changed for him in 1997 when war veterans decided to occupy farms in Zimbabwe. Locals accused him of protecting the white farmers, most of whom had acquired land when the country was a colony. He had to choose between the interests of Britain and the war veterans. A political and economic crisis followed, with the West imposing sanctions, but Mugabe was able to dig in for 2 decades. Most Africans outside Zimbabwe say they have great respect for the man. They say he has led their ideological fight against the influence of the West in the continent. But most surprising of all, even the people behind his downfall say they have great respect for him as a person. His memoirs, if he gets time to write them, could be a good read. Tamsangajo.